Hi everyone, I am right now at the Charlotte Chess Center and joining me is Peter, the founder of the Chess Center. Hello Peter.
Hi Sagar.
Thank
Welcome.
you for bringing us here. This is one of the two centers that exist in Charlotte of the
Yes.
Charlotte Chess Center.
Yes, this is our North Center. We have a South Center, which we call our main campus, which is a little bit larger. But this is a North Center just opened a few years ago, and this serves the North corridor of Charlotte.
How many students are there in the Charlotte Chess Center?
So we have, of course, we have our academies, this North Academy and South Academy. We teach about 500 students a week in our academy classes between the two facilities.
500?
Yes,
That's
yes.
a lot.
And then we have our school programs where we go out to the schools and we teach about 2,000 kids a week in school programs, about 60 area school programs.
Wow.
And then of course we have tournaments and adult members and a very vibrant kind of complete chess community of young children learning chess, but also adults who play casually or tournaments. So really a huge chess community.
Wow. Should we go inside?
Sure.
And you can show me the center?
Sure.
And while we are going, how did the Charlotte Chess Academy idea begin? Was it like you always wanted to teach chess, or how did it start?
Yeah, I can't say I necessarily always wanted to teach, but when I was in college, I started teaching, I started giving private lessons, and then eventually I worked some school programs as a job, you know, in college to make a little bit of money. Of course, I loved chess, so it didn't feel like a job. I had students and I was giving them lessons, and I was very much involved with chess and playing, but I never thought of it really as a business. It wasn't until a little later, when I was closer to graduating from college, I didn't really want to give chess up, but I knew that if I pursued a career outside of chess, that I didn't necessarily have to give it up, but that I would not be able to devote as much time to it. So in late 2013, as I was approaching my last semester in college.
What were you studying?
Economics. And I did finish my degree from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and I got my degree in economics, but I actually opened the Chess Center during my last semester of college, although I only had a few credit hours, so it was manageable. But from a very young age, I actually was organizing chess and of course playing chess. My first time I organized an event and directed an event was in 2007. And the objective there, I was in high school, and the objective was to raise some money for our high school chess team so that we could go to nationals. And that was just a little, my foot in the door on organizing chess. And then a friend of mine, Gary Newsom, and I decided to start a chess club together that met at a library called Queen City Chess. That was in 2007, 2008. And that was a once a week meeting where occasionally we would have a weekend tournament, but it was primarily a once a week club meeting at the Asian Herald Library, which still exists to this day. And we were just a community-based chess club like that exists many places in the US and I'm sure in the world. And I was always involved with that, but there was never intention to make it a business. I was involved with it because I wanted to play chess. It wasn't I had no business aspirations. I was in high school and I just had started college during those years, and I was doing it just so I had a place to play chess, and it was all volunteer. And so again, it wasn't until late 2013 and early 2014 where I understood, okay, like my life is changing now, and I was initially planning to go into the banking industry. Charlotte is actually
it's quite a big one.
It's a financial hub in the US, and that was the most natural course for me to take. But from 2007 until 2013, we had developed such a great reputation within our community as a community organization, this Queen City Chess. And so I thought, okay, is it possible that a self-sustaining chess center or chess club, chess center could be done? Is it possible? And there weren't many models to go by where I could do a lot of research to understand exactly how that might work, but okay, I had some business skills. My family ran businesses when I was a kid, restaurants, and I went to school for business. And so I at least had an idea of how it could work. And my aspirations at that time were just, I could do everything. I could run the tournaments, I could teach the classes, and I would do anything to make it work. So I put together a kind of business proposal, and I went to select members of our community, and I asked for a contribution to start the Charlotte Chess Center.
Okay, this is very interesting for
Yes.
me. This part of it. Should we
Yes.
go inside? It's quite bright.
Sure.
How strong were you as a chess player? Like, you are an FM.
Yes.
And maybe what were some of your best achievements as a player before we come to you starting the chess center?
I would say that, well, because I started chess late, I started as a 13-year-old, I played my first tournament, and I was not a hidden gem or anything like that. My first US chess rating was just over 500, so I was not like some hidden talent. And I started playing for the first time in middle school in my 8th grade year as a 13-year-old. But I fell in love with the game, albeit late late for people who become chess masters, let's say. And I fell in love with the game, and just it kind of consumed me a little bit. I really just loved chess. And so I would say an early achievement was, in about 3.5 years, I went from a 500 rated player to a 2000 rated player, which was just pretty fast for just having started. But it was because I just loved it. I was immersed in it, and I just studied all the time. And back then I was playing, I don't know if people remember, I was playing on FICS, F-I-C-S. It's a free internet chess server. It was the alternative to ICC.
I heard about FICS just 2-3 days ago.
Yeah.
Because everyone of the Bughouse chess community played there.
Yes, and it was the Lee chess of its time, and it was the alternative to ICC. And Dominique Myers, my friend, we would play league games on FICS, and I just was totally consumed with chess, and I would read every book. And so I would say that was a moderate achievement just from the time stamp. But I was always on FICS, I was always studying chess, and of course I was going to school.
So what about chess did you like very much?
Yeah, it was hard for me to say. I think that in general, I'm a natural competitor. Like, I do like a sense of achievement. I'm not sure exactly what was so attractive about chess to me back then, but once I got into it and I really just immersed myself in the game, I was just hungry to compete, and I was solely in it for achieving things, like trying to get to a new rating, trying to do that, and I loved it so much. And no one forced me to do it. It was just very much a passion. I think one of the attributes of chess that I enjoy is that the burden of success and failure, it falls on the individual, which I've always felt pretty comfortable with just as a person. Not that I'm not a team player, I just don't want my flaws to affect so many other people. So team sports were not always so accommodating for me as a kid. So chess and tennis became my true life passions, and which I still do today.
Tennis also, yeah?
Yes, I'm about 10 hours a week on the court. You might see from my tan here. So I still actively play.
So you're a good tennis player.
Yes, I mean, for an amateur tennis player, I would say so.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay, so here Charlotte Chess Center is Suite 230.
Yes.
Let's go up.
Okay.
Here.
So I would say that getting to 2000 within 3 years was an achievement, but I became a national master when I was 22, so just prior to the Chess Center opening. I continued to play, of course, through college. And even after the Chess Center opened, I continued to play competitively, although not as much. And I eventually made the FM title when I was 27 years old.
Wow.
Played a little bit after that, a couple tournaments, but then focused my energy on the Charlotte Chess Center, and I don't regret that, that shift, because I feel like the impact has been so much greater as an organizer and facilitator of the game more than a player.
Amazing. So this is where the Charlotte Chess Center is, and this is the entry point.
Yes.
Let's go inside and
So today we have a junior camp happening with students that are relatively new to the game. They're on lunch break right now. Here are our coaches, Nationals Masters Alex Crump and Zubin Baliga, leading the camp here today.
Wow. So the kids are right now on a break.
They're on a lunch break. Yeah, they're on a lunch break.
Nice. So we can go inside maybe. And so this is one of the classrooms.
Yes.
At the center.
Yes.
And this is where the kids can have sessions.
Yes. Now before you record this, Sagar, because I know all the fans of chess, you know, will notice this. We're going to switch the king and the queen here, okay? But this is actually, yes, so this is one of our classrooms, but when we have tournaments, this is also board one. And we, of course, the board one at both facilities, at the north facility and the south facility, have this engraved custom wooden board in memory of Daniel Naroditsky. And this set also is at our south facility. But yes, this is a classroom, and if we have tournaments here, this is also like the room for the top boards. And then we'll see the other classroom, which is the room for the lower boards.
What I love about this classroom is that there are photos of the students themselves. Like usually I've been to centers where, you know, you have photos of the world champions and so on.
Yes.
But this is a new approach.
Yeah, so we're grateful that we have media staff, you know, Kelly Centrelli, who you worked with over the weekend, taking photos of all of our members when they're playing. So yes, all of these students, these are photos from them playing in our own events, and we want them to feel at home when they come here, and we don't want them to feel distantly connected to things. So most of the photos we have in our centers, both here and at our South Center, are of our members. Of course, we have some famous players on the wall as well, but most of them are members of our Charlotte community.
Okay, coming back to the time when you decided to start the Charlotte Chess Center.
Yes.
You went out to the community.
Yes.
And you said that I want to start a chess center.
Yes.
Will you contribute? That's a very novel approach.
Yes. So again, we started the Queen City Chess, which is the community organization chess club that was from 2007, 2008 until this time when I asked the community. So there was at least some trust built within the community that I wasn't, let's say, fly by night, just coming through, hoping for an opportunity, and then I was going to leave. I was very much a part of the community as a player and somebody who grew up here in Charlotte, but of course as a facilitator of the game. So when I asked for the contributions from members, I kind of approached them individually. So I said, hey, here's the kind of plan. And we're trying to raise, our goal was to raise $10,000.
Okay.
Okay, $10,000.
That's not too much.
Not a lot. And I thought, you know, the idea would be a very minimalist club where tables, chairs, small, where I could just facilitate everything. And if we grew, okay, fine, we could grow into something bigger. But otherwise, I was willing to do all the work myself to have a sustainable center, but we needed some startup money, okay? So as I was approaching the members of the community individually, they were actually welcome to the idea of a dedicated place for chess. And so little by little, long story short, through just individually approaching members of the community, no companies, things like that, we were able to raise $30,000.
Wow.
So exceeding my expectations of what we were going to raise initially. And of course, all of it went toward a facility, but we were able to at least have a nicer facility than we would have before, with tables, chairs, and some renovations. So that was the highlight for me because the community supported it. It wasn't artificial in a sense where there was a venture capitalist. They were expecting nothing in return. All they did was basically trust that I would do it. And they were willing to take the risk on a philanthropic contribution to see what happens. And I hope that they're proud now, 12 years later. But back then, it was a rolling the dice for them at that time.
And you actually kind of acknowledge their contribution by having their names written on their first center that existed.
And so if we're here at the North Center, which is our second center, but at our South Main Center, they're still to this day listed on a plaque on the wall there. So if we were there, you would be able to see the original donors from from more than 12 years ago.
Wow. So you began with this space, and the idea was to teach chess,
Yes.
to have the students come in.
Yes.
But not just that, to also do tournaments.
Yes.
To kind of create this chess environment in the city.
That's right. So originally there was chess in Charlotte, but it was, I would say, pretty broken. And I would say that in most places it's like that. So you have your adult faction, you have the youth groups of individuals teaching chess and groups teaching chess, but there wasn't a place where, let's say, everybody was welcome. You know, maybe if you were a child, you go to the adult chess club, maybe they're like, oh, you know, your etiquette is not good, or maybe these are, and then if the adults would not find, you know, their home in a youth scholastic outfit. So typically most places just have this kind of divide between the adult groups, the open groups, and then the youth groups. My goal was to bridge those together, which we were already doing to some degree with Queen City Chess. We had a vibrant community. It wasn't huge, but it was vibrant and it was balanced. So yes, the goal was provide. Back then, you have to get into my mind. Back then,
That's
it's not like it's not like it is now. It was the pure goal was just to provide people a home with chess where they could play and learn.
But Queen City
Yes.
Chess was doing a bit of that. So why not kind of expand it? What was the reason to have something?
Yeah, well, I will tell you, you know, in a previous interview with Ben Johnson of Perpetual Chess, I actually noted this. So if I could turn back the hands of time, I would have done what you are describing now. I would have built it more using common spaces like the Asian library that we were in, and further build out the community before rushing into opening a center. Because the center, you know, having these walls, having to pay utilities, having to pay rent, actually takes away resources that could go into the community. It provides you with opportunity because you have a dedicated space, you have time flexibility, but back then, we were not in a place that really warranted a facility because we didn't have enough people playing chess and learning chess to justify that overhead. Now it's fully justified, but then it was not. So you could consider myself lucky. I would say I'm maybe a little tenacious because I was willing to work at no cost because I was following my dream and I wanted to show those who trusted me that I could pull it off.
So that initial investment of 30,000
Yes.
was all utilized for other maybe coaches or for the utilities, for the overheads.
Primarily startup costs.
And,
yes.
and basically by the time that was all extinguished, you were already beginning to see revenue flow in.
A little bit, but it was just enough to cover the expenses, not for me to actually to make a living. So it was, I was doing it purely out of passion, and I was okay with that because I really did love it. So if you came into the chess center then, I was the one that greeted you at the front desk. And then I was the one doing the pairings.
And then you would run and
I was
go and teach.
also out teaching the classes and cleaning the bathrooms and taking the trash out, right? So it was a different time back then. But I was willing to do that because it was a dream. Again, my advice to those listening who may be interested in that, I would have advised myself, like if I had the knowledge I had now, I would have advised myself back then, build the community more first. There are ways to build without having to sink your resources into physical centers and things that have sunk costs or regular costs that are always there weighing on your shoulders. You can build without that to begin with. Once you reach a certain capacity, then you can start to consider it. So in some ways I was lucky, and in some ways my tenacity, prevailed because I was just willing to work day and night for the chess center, and the financial aspects of what it meant for me did not bother me. Like the fact that I
Did your family not have any issues with this because you were a graduate in economics?
Yes.
You could have made a very good living working in some bank and so on. How were they so supportive of this initiative?
There was definitely tension there and insecurity from my parents. Definitely more on my father's side, because he really wanted me to take a more traditional route, and I imagine that many of the viewers can understand that as something that's more secure. especially since I went to college and I got a degree. So it's like, hey, you set yourself up for this path and now you're diverting completely. But I was following my heart. I wasn't following this set path. And I've always kind of been a renegade, somebody to kind of go my own way. But my mother probably questioned my decision to do it, but remained supportive the whole way. So, and I don't blame, and even those within the chess community, the mentors I had within the chess community, and those who I sought advice from, they were skeptical as well. And to be honest, rightfully so. As I mentioned, I probably at that time was not making the right decision. It worked out for me in the end, but again, if I were advising myself, I would not have done it. With the knowledge I have now, I would not have done it at the time I did it then. So I'm very grateful that it worked out, and I don't blame those who were maybe trying to nudge me in a different direction, because based on their knowledge of the chess world and what existed in the chess world and what seemed possible in the chess world, all things pointed toward it being the wrong thing to do, but I did it anyway. So again, a little luck and a lot of passion, I guess, got us to this point here.
What were the factors that you think kind of made the center start growing? Were there some key people who entered your life? Apart from your hardworking ability and tenacity, was there something else that started to work your way? What happened?
Yes, so a couple years in, about a year and a half in, there was a time where at least we had enough, there was not enough activity in at the chess center to support the chess center, but I was doing a lot of teaching in the schools, and that provided a little bit more resources into the bucket. And at that time, I had, of course, coaches, part-time coaches that were working alongside me in school programs. Those who, just a couple of people, one of whom, Julian Parker, is still with me to this day, teaching for the Chess Center. And Todd Mendenhall was somebody I went to college with, and he would just help me part-time as well. And it was just a very small group of us back then. But we were just making enough from the school programs to, of course, pay the rent at the facilities, and then it was enough to hire another full-time person. And at that point, it was important for me to offload some of the things I was doing, because I did reach a point where I could not really do them all. So to my surprise, Grant Owen, who's working for us now, as you know, you met, he had just graduated from Emory University, a very prestigious university in Atlanta. And to my surprise, I think I still remember where I was. I think I was visiting New York at the time. I think I remember where I was. I put out an application for a position, a very low position, bare kind of minimum compensation. It's what I could afford, but it was a job in chess, okay? And to my surprise, he applied for it. And I knew Grant from working with him before, just as counselors at the Emory Castle Chess Camp, actually where I met Danya as well. And so I had already some experience with him, and I knew he was running tournaments in Atlanta in college. I was doing the same here in Charlotte. And I was thinking to myself, what does he want to do working here for this like low compensation or everything? But like me and like many of the members of our team, we follow our passion. So the moment I saw his message, immediately called him. And then shortly after that, Grant was included as part of the team. And of course, as you know, he's still a member of our team today for 10 years.
He was the chief arbiter and tournament director of the
Yes.
Naroditsky Memorial.
Yes.
And who did an incredible job.
Yes, he is the best tournament director in the country. It's my opinion, but I think we can back that up. And he has been an instrumental part to the growth of the events side of the Charlotte Chess Center. Everything, of course, from Norm Round Robin events to our large Swiss tournaments, and of course now the Naroditsky Memorial. Leading on the director side of the event and the planning of that aspect. So He's been an incredible force on the team, as many of our other members have been. And that was, I would say, the ability to, once you get to the place where you can have others come in and start to assist you, specializing in certain areas and offloading those things and really focusing on those areas, that enabled us to really branch out and grow a lot more. Of course, we were still in the very early stages, but we started to assemble the right group of passionate chess people that frankly are all still here today.
Amazing. That's so beautiful. So there are two aspects to the Charlotte Chess Center. One is the training aspect.
Yes.
The other is the events aspect.
Yes.
So talking about training.
Yes.
There are some books out there.
Yes.
Which you have written.
Yes.
Should we have a look at them?
Sure.
Because those are the materials which are being used here.
Yes.
For training.
Yes.
Apart from, of course, on the screen and so on, kids
Yes.
do get to access Chess Kid.
Yes, they do. Yes.
So if we could go and zone in on the training aspect.
Yes, so here at our academies, the training is done a little bit differently. So as mentioned before, we have school chess programs. We consider our school chess programs recreational chess. In other words, our goal is to expose children to chess and so that they know of it as a game. And then from there, we try to gauge interest. Are there students that are actually really interested in learning the game of chess? Once they are, they come here to the academy, where training becomes a little more rigid, and there's a system for where you start and where you can go. So we start with our fundamentals level classes. Those are for beginners or those who maybe just know how the pieces move, but don't have a structured way of seeing the game at all, or the board. Then we have our intermediate level, which is for ELOs, very like low over the board ELOs. So like unrated, let's say to 600 over the board ELO, advanced from 600 to 1,000, and then master class from 1,000 to 1,500, and then the elite chess team, which begins at 1,500, but goes well up over to 2,000, over the 2,000 threshold, which is what we call super elite. So we have a system where you start in one of those places, but then there's a clear path up, which is a combination of learning physically, like here at the academies, learning from a coach, having workbooks, doing tactical training puzzles, working online as well. So when the students are at home, they're still working on their games, and then playing tournaments. Oh. It's all part of the calculus into growth and what it takes to move up from class to class. And as mentioned earlier in the interview, we have hundreds of kids, about approximately 500, that learn in our academy classes at the centers. So it's a lot of, let's say, more serious kids who have interest in playing tournaments and learning a little bit more. So it's important for us to have a system for which they understand, okay, this is what I must do to move up the ladder. I think that was something, Sagar, that happened later. It didn't happen from the beginning. As you work with children and as you're learning, it's very important that they and their parents have a pathway to try to better understand what it takes to move up from level to level. We didn't necessarily implement such a system until around the time of the pandemic. We started to create a more defined system on how you start and how you move up and what key aspects are needed for chess improvement. Not just like, okay, read this worksheet, read this book. What specific things should you be doing? Should I be solving 100 puzzles a week? Should I be reading a certain book? Should I be watching certain videos? How many rated games should one be playing? What should a rating, what should you get your rating to be before you're ready to move up? So a lot of things had developed over the time of just giving chess lessons to providing really a blueprint for how you improve at chess.
That's very interesting. This is all from your data of working for 5-6 years with
Yes.
different kids,
Yes.
maybe different talent groups.
Yes.
And so understanding that there's not one size that fits all,
No.
but there are certain good practices which could be followed.
Exactly, and we also wanted to paint the picture for the parents. Many of our parents are not chess players themselves, so they also need guidance, like what should I be helping my child do when they're at home? Because as you know, chess is such a vast game that if you only only did chess when you came in for lessons, you wouldn't improve. You must work on the game outside of that. And for us to provide the blueprint for the students, but also to their parents, so that their parents can help facilitate their growth. That was a very important and pivotal point for us as an organization, because when we started doing that, over time, not only did more kids stay interested and remain in chess, but that they also got better faster.
Nice.
And of course, that is our goal. We want the children to improve. We do not want them stuck in the same level classes. We want them to improve as high as they can achieve, as long as they want to.
And this sort of system is actually an ever evolving, or you are fine-tuning it all the time?
All the time, including, so that's the system itself, but also the materials and curriculum that we provide. You know, we are never, just like if you were actively playing chess, you're constantly looking for weak points, constantly looking for areas of refinement. We're the same way when it comes to our curriculum, the way we do things here at the center. We're always searching for improvements based on the data that we have. So I think treating it as such has really helped us create a lot more talents, a lot more people becoming involved in chess, which is obviously our goal.
Amazing. Should we go out there?
Sure.
So this is where we have one very famous book.
Yes.
This is a book written by you.
Yes.
In fact, we have it in our Chess Base India shop as well.
Yes.
It's actually for new in chess, right?
It's from New in Chess, and this was a book that I had
You could
always...
also take these books and go in that room if there's a lot of...
Women's Speed Chess Championship.
Oh, they're watching.
Yes.
Zhu Wenjun versus Li Taofan. Whom are you supporting? Zhu Wenjun?
She won first match.
Yeah, no problem.
Secured a 4-point advantage until the and as we see, the 5 times on the screen.
Sorry, thanks. Yes, so this is the book which I think became popular across the world.
Yes. So this particular book, I always really wanted to write, but obviously it takes time to do this. So I had some time during the pandemic because things were slower for me in person. So I decided to buckle down and actually do it. And the reason why I did this is because I felt like at the fundamental levels that we were teaching in our academy, they didn't have students didn't have anybody actually didn't have the resources at the lower level. Most of what I see in chess is designed for the already existing chess player. So I had the students in mind when I wrote this book. So we start very basic here, not with piece movement. This book assumes you know how the pieces move, but hardly anything else. And then we start from there. And the key aspects that were very valuable to me that I didn't think really existed in things that were there, because there are, as you know, plenty of chess materials, and I didn't want to reinvent the wheel just to put my name on something. That wasn't the goal. So one of the key aspects, and you can just see here in the introduction, is you have a place to write your answer.
Right.
So there are studies and situations, or there are studies that show that writing down your answer is a way of affirming your belief in your head. So you say like, okay, my answer is bishop e4, checkmate. Is it really? Okay, so when you write it down, it's almost like you're setting it in stone. I confirm this is my answer. And there's studies to show that that's very important. So with young children, as they're developing at very young ages, 5 years old, 6 years old, it's important to attribute those things. So that was one of the things that didn't always exist in tactics workbooks. A lot of times it's diagrams with very small, like very thin margins, so it's hard to write. And then a lot of times you'll see students drawing arrows. And I guess that might be okay if it's one move, but if it's 2 moves or 3 moves, it gets very messy, and messy is not good for learning, okay? So I wanted something where students, in fact, when I specifically requested this, I refused to write the book where they would not sacrifice white space, in order for me to do this. So I told him, you want me to write this book? It must have a place for the students to put their answers. I will not write it otherwise. And yes, that means it needs to be bigger than a standard book that fits on the shelf, and that there will be a lot of white space. We are not using all the real estate on the page because this is a book for learning. It's not a book for reading, right? It's an active learning book. So that's one of the key aspects. The other key aspect is that in every chapter, of course, there's a description of the topic. So, of course, here there are a few types of different checkmates. Okay, fine. No reinventing the wheel here. We know back rank checkmates, helper checkmates, things like that. Nothing so extravagant there. But here you can see that every chapter starts with what is called guided practice. So guided practice is I give you a hint. Effectively, if you're reading it, you will kind of be given the answer. Not completely, but you will be led to finding the answer, as if a coach was over your shoulder advising you. So you get that for a number of puzzles. But then you finally reach the test portion where there are no hints. So the idea is to assist one in learning the ideas, forks, pins, skewers, but eventually no one's going to tell you exactly where it is. So that particular structure was very important from a learning standpoint, because if you're working out of a book, you want there to be some kind of guide for you. And many books don't have such a thing. So I think that is what makes this book very popular. Of course, the topics of discussion, I think, fit the range, which is under 1,000, over the board under 1,000. And I must have gone through, this is about 700 puzzles in this book, but I must have gone through tens of thousands of puzzles in online trainers and everywhere to try to find the right level to fit this category. So it wasn't just like pull random puzzles in and then assign them to a category. I wanted them to be clean puzzles, so not a lot of tree branch variations and things like that. Just very to the point, because this is for learners. This is not for high level. So, and I treated our own Academy workbook. So this was published by New in Chess, and it's a very big book. But I treated our own Academy level workbooks in the same way. These are just self-published. I just did them in word processing. Nothing overly produced. Had somebody do a cover. Nothing crazy. You could do it yourself. So it's still very interactive. So this is just one example, like identifying check, checkmate, and stalemate, trying to understand what the position is. It's still very interactive. We have, of course, chess piece values, chess math, and just an interactive workbook for the kids. These are more of a supplement to what is being taught in the class. So these workbooks are smaller, but they don't have as much explanation because they're meant as a supplement to coming to class. We do not sell these.
Is assumed that someone would buy it, may not even have a trainer.
Exactly.
But here, you know that the trainer is there in the class.
And precisely that is why these are not for sale. We do not sell these. These are only available to the students in our class. This one, of course, you can get on Amazon. It's available worldwide through New in Chess, but is designed for you to be able to study on your own, or if it's a young child, their parent can go through it with them as well. But these are specifically for those in our Academy classes, guided by our instructors.
Amazing. So these are like different levels, like this one is beginner level.
Yes.
Then you have the intermediate level.
Yes.
And then the advanced level.
Yes. And then when we get to the higher levels, our Grandmaster coaches take over at that point, and they provide a lot more worksheets and targeted puzzles at that point. But these are all very fundamental concepts that everybody at this level must know. And so I wanted to put those into a form that everyone had access to in our classes. So these 3 books are like paint the way for one to establish the key fundamentals needed to later be able to learn chess at a higher level, to have those key visualization principles and knowledge to be able to learn even more. So that's the key with these books. And the last thing related to the educational aspects is we have a sticker system.
Yes.
And These are just completed workbooks. That's why they're so, they look
shows
so
that
used.
the kids have used them.
Yes. So you can see like some of the class participation stickers, and these are custom. You can see our logo on them. We actually had a designer do these characters, and they don't have names. The characters don't have names, but the kids like them. And you can see these are actually done by the students. And they submit their workbooks upon graduation from their class. They finish. The workbook is not the only thing they have to do. There are other criteria. And these stickers can be cashed in for things around the center. So a hoodie, a hat, a chessboard, things like that. And the kids are very motivated by doing things. So we try to guide the students in the right direction.
It's a very smart idea to have points and that could be redeemed. It's
Yes.
it also must have taken time to kind of build this system.
Definitely, and these just the stickers alone, creating the criteria with the coaches, getting together with the coaches and say, what do we value? What are the things we want to incentivize students to do? Is it doing homework? Is it doing puzzles? Is it playing games? And we identified those key points which we believed were necessary for growth. And we created stickers weighted stickers, depending on what we really wanted them to do the most of.
Wow.
So the kids are like, ooh, if I play more, I get more points. So I'm going to go play the quads this week, or I'm going to play some tournaments this week. They get more points because we place values on where we think most improvement comes from. So the point values are also not random. We try to lead the students to make up their own mind on what they would like, to motivate them.
What's the most sought after thing with all the points for the kids?
So I would say most of them want our merchandise. Okay, so they want hoodies, they want hats, they want our merchandise. So usually when they want to cash in, that's what they want.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. And then we come to the events part of
Yes.
the Charlotte Chess Center.
Yes.
And what has blown my mind is the fact that there are so many events happening across the week,
Yes.
not year.
Yes.
I mean, what you mentioned, like when we were just talking casually, the number of events you're doing in a week could very well be the number of events somebody does in a month or a year.
Oh, definitely. So because we have two facilities. So between our two facilities and then the tournaments we do off-site, like the Naroditsky Memorial and like our other opens, which we host at hotel spaces and convention spaces because they're very large. We have, on a weekly basis between our two centers, we have 10 rated tournaments a week. And we have meetups and things like that, but rated competitions a week. And then occasionally, about once a month, sometimes twice a month, we have tournaments off-site that we host at schools if they're for the kids, or we host at convention centers if they're open tournaments. And last year, when we did our analysis, we had more tournaments than days of the year. We had over 365, more than 365 rated tournaments, more than one rated tournament a day for the year. Because again, we have 10 a week, there are holidays, but then we do the offsite events too. So we are the most active chess affiliate in the country, bar none.
To the US Chess Federation.
To the US, like there is no chess center that does more than we do. And that includes St. Louis, that includes Marshall, that includes Mechanics, the ones that maybe are more notable to your audience. We have so much going on a regular basis for our locals here in Charlotte.
And this is not just for the students, right? Anyone else can also participate in this event.
Absolutely.
It has an entry fee and they can just take part.
Absolutely. So if you're not a student of the Charlotte Chess Center, or if you're not a member of the Charlotte Chess Center, you can participate in events, and that's fine. We have that all the time. Last year, we had in rated competition, we had about 2,700 unique rated players participate at the Charlotte Chess Center events last year. So it's not just the 500 students that we have or the hundreds of adult members that we have, but people are often traveling to play in tournaments in our competitions. Of course, there are many unrated players, students learning the game that have not yet achieved a rating. But again, we had 2,700 rated participants last year, and we'll do new analysis this year. But that compromises, I think that's about 3% of the active tournament player base in the United States played in Charlotte last year.
And there are also strong players who take part. I know that, for example, when the events were happening, Dania Naroditsky used to play regularly. Then
Yes.
also Botnik.
Yes.
He would play.
Still plays. Grandmaster Caden Trofe, Sasha Bortnik still playing our Blitz events and Rapid events. They love that format. Even if they're just club level events, where they know they're going to be the strongest players and they risk losing, which happens, and they shed their rating points, but they love it and they play, and we're very grateful that our members have opportunities to play Grandmasters at least on a semi-regular basis. They're always around for our classes and everything, but we're talking about playing. And so it's a great joy to have them here. And I think for our members, it's such a great opportunity to have exposure to FIDE titled players, including Grandmasters, to be able to play against.
And what is it that allows you to do so many events? What is the secret of it?
So you have to build enough interest in those who, of course, want to play chess, like maybe adults who want to play more than they want to learn, and then, of course, a large group of youth that want to learn, but then they need to play. So it really comes organically. The more you have interest, the more you build interest in chess, and you keep people involved in chess, the more opportunities they seek to expand. And really expanding in our chess world is really beginning to play in rated competitions. Of course, there's nothing wrong with playing casually. We have casual nights and things like that. But when we talk about tournament competition, rated competition, we first start from the level of education. We are teaching you how to play chess, but now you have to go play. And you have to play in an environment that's graded so that way you understand where you fall. How much am I learning? How does this learning apply to practical application? It's kind of like one of our coaches, Jay Garrison, puts it simply. If you're on a soccer team and you go to practice, then you have to attend the games. That's just the way it is. For us in chess, it's like you're learning the game of chess in a formal environment to enhance your ability, and now you have to also play. And there were studies done that showed more developmental promise in not just learning chess, but when students go from learning to participating in rated play, there are boosts in math and reading skills once they begin competition. And so the reason we push that angle a little bit more, we don't care so much if a child is rated 300 or if a child is rated 2300. It's more that they're applying themselves, they're applying what they're learning in a more formal environment where they can concentrate fully on showing us what they truly have learned, and then that sets the bar for them to know where they stand and how to further improve. So it's very much in the spirit of using chess as a developmental tool, particularly for youth. And then, of course, our adult members, many of them play for achievement, trying to get to the next rating, or they just enjoy playing. And many of them don't play rated, they just want to play. And we welcome them too, and we have plenty of options for them. But from a chess center kind of global view of things, our goal is to train students and then have them go to the game, which would be the tournament competition. So basically the first step is gain interest in students who want to learn the game. Once you have a large students who want to learn the game, that enables you to have more tournaments because you have more people interested in participating. So it's become that, but it's not something that happens overnight. Remember that we started with just one chess center where we had approximately 2 to 3 rated tournaments a week at one place. It only became as we had a grassroots effort to make chess more popular and create more stickiness to the chess organization to keep kids involved for a longer period of time, motivate them, guide them, both them and their parents. And it's just a long time of tweaking and evolving.
So in a way, you're saying that if a student joins you as a beginner,
Yes.
can reach all the way to master or grandmaster level, because you not only do tournaments which are rated,
Yes.
but there are also norm events that Charlotte Chess Center does.
That's correct. So we pride ourselves on this kind of end-to-end chess path, if you will. So, so far, the best success story we've had is a student beginning in a beginner program who've become FIDE Master. So that's so far. We have had players who have become IMs, but they didn't start all the way down in our beginner program. But so far, the furthest path has been a student starting in a beginner program and becoming a FIDE Master.
Are there some names that you could tell us, some FMs?
Yes, so the one that comes to my head first is Vishnu Vanapali, who is now in college, 2400 USCF rated player, strong FM, 2350, FIDE rating. And he started at the Chess Center playing he used to fall asleep at the board. He was, I can't remember exactly his age, but maybe 5 years old or 4.5 years old. And his father, Raj, would bring him in, sit in the back of the room, because often he would doze off because the games would be in the evening. This was long time ago. And, he is like one of the prides. If we were at our South Center, we have a photo of him. He's one of the prides of the CCC, along with Tianxi Wang, who moved here from China at a young age, played a lot of our events, and eventually became an IM. So we're very happy for these students. A lot of our students now are even younger, achieving goals like the 2000 rating level, 2100 rating level, will soon break the master level. So, and we have such a larger pool of those players now than we did. But as you know, Sagar, it takes years to go from of just beginning to a point where you're reaching 22, 23, 2400 level. But I think we will see a lot more next year and the year after, because we planted the seeds years ago for that growth to be able to happen. But you're right in that you could start as a beginner, and we host 4 to 6 round robin Grandmaster, International Master, Norm tournaments a year, and you can go as far as that. And of course, we have Swiss Opens where you can also get norms. So we don't push so hard. Like, in our hearts, of course, we want our students to achieve the most. We don't push them so hard because we want them to be passionate about the game, but it's there for them if they want it.
Nice.
Yes.
And this room has pictures of some young stars.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure from the Charlotte Chess Center.
Yes, these students are from the Charlotte Chess Center, but of course we have
some top players there. Zhu
yes.
Wenjun, the world champion,
Yes.
Magnus, world number 1,
Yes.
Nepo,
Yes.
Anish.
Right.
Looks nice.
Yes. So, obviously we want students to see themselves on the wall, but of course also, some top players in the world as well. So we want there to be some diversity of inspiration for the children.
One thing that has surprised me is how do you manage to bring together people like Judit Polgar, Peter Leko, Ramesh, Boris Gelfand, Polgar, all of them, and sometimes doing a camp here.
Yes.
And that is something which I think is very difficult for people to even think of, even
Yes.
if they have very strong students.
Yes.
How did you manage to do that?
So this was actually a brainchild of Grant Owen, who wanted to do a high-level camp. In fact, the first year we did that camp, it was Jakob Agard and Boris Avruk. And Avruk, of course, wrote this amazing series on D4, which revolutionized how people played the openings. And so he was, at that time, he still is, but at that time he was like world-renowned opening theoretician. He was changing everything. And so Grant really had this idea of starting small. So it was like Agard and Avruk, and let's see if we can do an elite training camp for not just a local Charlotte junior players, but
all over US.
national. And sometimes, players will come from Mexico and Canada as well to participate. Okay. So, and we realized there was hunger to learn from the best. And so we started there, and then as it evolved, we began to reach out further and further as we began to be trusted within not just the local chess community, but the national and international community. We started reaching out further. We had Veselin Topalov was here for a few years. We have Judit Polgar has been for the last few years. Peter Leko has been for the last few years. Boris Gelfand was here. So many others. Michal Marin was here. So for these training camps. So for us, bringing them here is of course an honor, but is an inspiration to the students who get to work with them for a week. It's such a very rare thing. So of course, some of our local juniors take part in those camps, but we have now, our most recent camp had 50 students from all over the United States who want to come and participate in those unique opportunities. The way that we are able to get such stars here is, I think, they understand when they come here for the first time that we do chess from the soul. We do chess from the heart. We are chess people. We devote, every day we wake up, we devote our lives to the game of chess.
So when they come here,
Yes.
they think they are also doing something meaningful.
Correct.
It's not just, because this camp can happen anywhere.
It could happen anywhere. It could happen
But
anywhere.
the fact that they keep coming here
Yes.
is like they enjoy the environment here.
Yes, and they respect, as lifelong chess players and those who've devoted their life to chess, they respect those who do the same. And of course, we treat them well, and for me, they're like family, like Judit now, and Peter Leko, and everybody, Boris, and Veselin. I mean, these people, and Jakob, I mean, these people are like family to me, and we treat them as such, and it's very important that we do that, and they feel comfortable here because they understand it's not a spectacle, it is meaningful. And I think that's what's gained us their trust, and that's why they're willing to come back to Charlotte, and we're incredibly grateful.
Amazing. So for the last part of this interview, I would love that if you sit down, and I have a question
Sure.
for you. What is something that kind of drives you every day to wake up and do this? I do consider what you're doing as very intense. I'm sure your team members as well.
Yes.
But it's, what is your motivation? What is the thing that gives you this vision?
Yes, so I love chess, and I always have. And later in my life, I stopped liking the competitive aspect of chess, like as a player, but I love the game of chess. So every day I will check broadcasts to see like the live games that are happening all over the world from different tournaments. I still play all the time. I follow chess very much. And so for me, chess is purely a passion for me. I don't have to be forced to do it. I didn't do it because I saw a job opportunity or a career opportunity. I did it because I love it, and I do it because I love it. My goal every day I wake up is to show, because I guess we should go back in time. As I mentioned to you earlier in the interview, when I had the idea of starting a chess center, nearly everybody I talked to was pushing me away from it. They didn't believe chess was a viable career path for anyone. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to make it clear that it can be. Chess can be conducted, chess can be organized at the level of other professional games and sports so that people trust the institutions that they go into. When they walk into a chess center or a chess club, they shouldn't see chaos. They shouldn't see an unorganized place. Parents and members who come in for the first time, they should see something that represents professionalism. So every day I wake up, I think, how can we push the limits of the game of chess to a higher professional standard, doing it organically? And that motivates me very much. And I feel like I will never reach a point where I don't feel like I can do anything to enhance chess further. I think if I reach that point, similar to my own chess playing career, I think if I reach that point where I can no longer contribute with growth in mind or enhancement in mind, I will probably retire. but I still feel like there's so much for me to do.
There are so many facets to what you are doing. I
Yes.
think it's very difficult to exhaust it.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
there's community building, there's training, there's organization, and so on, like media and
Yes, and that's something that took time. You know, when you start a company, you start a business, sometimes you struggle to find your identity. Who are you trying to serve, and what is your overall purpose? Of course, a business must make money to sustain careers, for not just for an individual, but for everybody that works alongside you. That goes without saying, so there's no gray area there. The question is a matter of, like, what can you do and what are your goals long term, not just day-to-day like sustainability. At the start and over the years, as we've achieved more success and notoriety doing what we're doing, there have been many cases, especially at the start where things weren't working out so well, where I would often be distracted by opportunities, partner with this person, partner with that person, do this, do that. And oftentimes I would be distracted by those things to some degree. Never fully, but to some degree. And then as the Chess Center, of course, became more successful, venture capitalists reaching out, about acquisitions or franchising and things like that. But by then, I had already understood that what makes us unique is very hard to replicate. And that's because we're very much a family of chess enthusiasts and passionate chess players and organizers and teachers, that expansion outside of our community would not represent truly who we are. So at some point when that was recognized, I just decided we're going to devote all of our energy into enhancing chess in the Charlotte community, because without infinite resources and frankly without other passionate and as committed people, we wouldn't be able to really expand successfully outside of our city. And so I completely dropped that out of my head because I wanted to maintain this immense degree of standard that we have here across the board, from everything from learning to organizing. And I knew that the way we could do that was by focusing on our community. So yes, and there's still so much to do, even though I'm narrowly focused on the Charlotte metro area, there's still so much we can do, because even if we can't add more rated tournaments, there are ways to get more students involved in chess on the paid level, but even from our foundation side, where we can expand into lower income neighborhoods to provide opportunities. And these are all things that are enriching our community. As I mentioned to you earlier, for me, a great thing of passion is when I walk into a grocery store and I see a student from 10 or 12 years ago, or now I'm seeing students who have graduated from college, that I used to teach. And for me, that's empowering. It's motivating. And pushing the limits of chess and what people perceive in their mind as the limitations of chess for career path, I want to break and shatter those completely. I want to just tear those apart, because as long as people believe that, they won't pursue chess. As long as they believe that pursuing chess will lead to ultimate failure, career failure, they won't pursue it. So for me, completely shattering that and breaking that is a huge motivator for me, and I think we've done that, and I think we will continue to do that. So a lot of that is part of my motivation, but that comes from my own history of dealing with that adversity from the start, of people telling you, including those in chess, don't waste your time going down this road. If that's what you hear from the people around you, and that's what you hear from those who you trust, then the vast majority of people will listen to that advice and won't pursue it. To this day, Sagar, it bothers me less that like the outside world doesn't understand that chess can be a career, because like I understand why somebody who doesn't know anything about niche communities like chess or whatever, badminton or ping pong or whatever, that they may not understand, like those are games we play for fun. How is it possible that how could there be any career based around that? So I don't get so offended, let's say, if I go into the barber shop and then they say, hey, they're starting small talk and they go, what do you do? And I say, well, I have a chess academy, so I teach chess, right? Long story short. And, oh, really? And you do that for a living, right? Is often what I get. And I say yes, and I'm generally polite about it because I understand that their perspective is not, it's hard for them to understand. So I don't mind that as much, and sometimes I lie and I'll say something like, I'm a math teacher, or something, just to avoid the conversation because sometimes I get tired of it. But within the chess community is where I get a little frustrated, where I've been doing the Chess Center for 12 years, and people will still ask me, is this what you do for your career? And I only take small offense because, again, it's their own lack of understanding that it makes them ask those questions. But I want us to get to a point as a chess world and a chess community where it's respected enough, at least within the industry. I understand the outside world. Again, those people are not holding accountable. But within our chess industry, until we get to a place where our own people within chess give us dignity and credibility that we can do this for a living, I will not be satisfied.
Amazing.
So.
Wow. And in this approach that you've taken and what you've built in the last 12 years or 13 years here, I think you're setting a standard, you're setting an example which is going to inspire people across the US, but I think also across the world.
And I hope so, and I think it already has. And I think, as I mentioned before, there was no real blueprint for this. There were academies, don't get me wrong. There were always academies and things, but there was no blueprint for what now is the Charlotte Chess Center. So I do hope that people see what we're doing and try to emulate it. I think the parts they don't see, which are hard to replicate, are these parts of passion and commitment. Most of the time when people ask me for advice, it's always about sustainability and finances. It's hardly, I hardly have ever had a conversation where somebody approaches me for advice where I felt they were so passionate about it that my advice would actually motivate them to do it for the right reasons and that they would actually be successful. Because most of the people come at it as saying, they look at it purely as a business opportunity and they go, my town doesn't have a Charlotte Chess Center or similar. That's an opportunity for me. I guess it's fine to see it that way, only if you, in addition to seeing an opportunity, you also are truly passionate about it. Because, as mentioned, I could sit here and give you every detail about how the Charlotte Chess Center works and all the fine points I learned over the years and, of course, continue to learn. But without my own passion, which, of course, spews into the rest of, we have over 50 employees. That passion trickling down everywhere else, and the core group around me, the core group of administrators who are equally dedicated and passionate about chess. If we didn't have that and we were just following a blueprint, no way we would be sitting here having this conversation right now. And that's something I can't teach you because it has to come from here. You have to be a lover of chess. And frankly, just to turn it around on you, I think that your success is similarly grounded. And I think that that's the success of Chess Base India. And I think your viewers and audience also feel the same way. And I think that that's hard to teach. Even if you gave them a blueprint, it would still need to be the right persons to be able to carry it out and be successful and be willing to take the journey.
Yeah, and I think your story tells that actually passion without having an elaborate financial plan,
that's correct,
can work out.
Absolutely. And
not the other way. You don't need a financial plan. I think just being passionate about something, things will slowly and steadily, you basically become tenacious. You hang in there.
Yes, and so you need to have passion. Of course, you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to conform to things that you do right and wrong. But see, that's where I see the elements of chess factor in. Application of chess principles to real world scenarios. You see something's not working, you change it, right? You're not stuck in your ways. Passion drives you. It keeps you motivated. It's like when you lose, you go to a tournament, you think you're going to win, you lose all your games, and you're like demotivated, but you should actually use that as a way to improve, and then you come back and you win the next tournament. These applications of changing things that are not working, constantly wanting to improve, this chasing for more and the greater potential, be the best you can be, I have personally shifted all of that same energy I had for chess to the Charlotte Chess Center, which in my view is just more valuable to chess than if I devoted all of that energy to the chess board, where maybe I would achieve the next title of International Master after lots of hard work and effort. But even at that level, my contributions to chess as a whole would not be so great as to what I'm doing now. So
Well, now maybe you'll create hundreds of IMs and GMs in the years to
and
come.
I would be so happy if that happened.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for having this discussion. We spoke so much about all the little aspects of the Charlotte Chess Center.
Yes.
And I'm going back with a lot of inspiration and a lot of positive things to think about. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagar.